Welcome to the Intuitive Rising podcast. I'm your host, Amy Brooks. This is a podcast that invites you to remember who you are, return to yourself, and rise into your highest and best soul self. Every week, I will be sharing inspiring conversations about topics that hold keys to your awakening. My mission as an international evidential psychic medium, Reiki practitioner, and intuitive mentor is to help you rise into who you were born to be. Enjoy the show. Hey. Welcome back to another episode of the Intuitive Rising podcast. I am your host, Amy Brooks. And as always, I am so grateful to be spending some time with you. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about what the heck is grid filling. What the heck is grid filling? That's what we're going to discuss today. So this concept of grid filling has kind of dropped into my awareness, and I will say quote unquote randomly about a month or so ago. So I say quote unquote randomly because we know, especially when it comes to things like this, that it was not random at all. So I think I was like uploading a client's reading on YouTube, as that's where my recorded readings go, and then are set obviously as unlisted so nobody else can see them, but there's thousands on there. And so I'm always on YouTube uploading client videos, and as I was doing that, I kind of saw a recommended video for me, and it was about grid filling, and I was like, interesting, this intrigues me for some reason. I feel a little spark of interest, so I know I need to follow that for sure. So I watched this approximately 20-minute long video, and it is a clip from an event that a lady named Esther Hicks did. And I feel like somebody in the comments said that this was like 10 years ago or so. Like it wasn't a recent event, but it is like one of the most watched Esther Hicks clips, videos out there. And I was like, interesting. I'm already interested in like what the heck this is, as I got a little jolt of interest when I heard about grid filling. So I watch it. And I'm just very kind of taken with the idea, and I kind of have some aha moments in the process. And I will take the opportunity in this time that I spend with you in this episode to talk about that. But I want to tell you a little bit about Esther Hicks first. So I am not super knowledgeable about Esther Hicks personally. I do have a book by her, but I have not finished it. It's one of those, it's like a collection of 3 or 4 books together. And I've kind of, gone through it a little bit here and there, but I haven't read the whole thing. So it feels like an invitation to do more reading about Esther Hicks. But to begin, who is Esther Hicks? So she is an inspirational speaker, channeler, and author. And I am taking this from her Wikipedia page. She has co-written 9 books with her late husband, Jerry Hicks, and presented numerous workshops on the law of attraction. And she was on the original version of the 2006 film, The Secret. So I feel like maybe a lot of us kind of even got into law of attraction, manifestation, spiritual kind of interest, maybe through The Secret. I do remember watching The Secret back around this time. And I also had the book. And I do remember really being kind of enthralled with it. But at that time, 2006, I was like a brand new mom. And so I didn't really have the time, the energy, the capacity to invest in a whole bunch of reading and research. But I do remember watching the film, and I do remember reading the book, The Secret. And so I was, interested in it. So I guess she was in that. I don't remember. I'll have to revisit the film. So according to her Wikipedia page, it says Hicks claims she channels a collective consciousness that she calls Abraham. So that answers a question that I had, because I was wondering, is Abraham like one being? Is Abraham a group of beings? What the heck is Abraham? Is Abraham a spirit guide? It sounds like Abraham is just collective consciousness. Sometimes when I do some channeling, and I very much feel like I am channeling Pleiadians, maybe that's similar, right? That's just consciousness versus like one particular being, like our spirit guides. So that's interesting. And it says, as with other channelers, she often uses a different tone of voice and accent to indicate the entity is speaking through her. So Esther's channeling experiences started in 1985 after she and her husband Jerry read channeler Jane Roberts' books. I think Jane Roberts is the author of a book called Seth, and I think that she used to channel this collective consciousness that she called Seth. Anyways, you guys might be more familiar with that than I. And so that's how it all started for them. They read the books, and then it wasn't very long afterwards, because it says that they read that in 1985. And then in 1987, she was doing private readings. So, and then the following year was doing conferences. So there you go. She definitely kind of took off. The timing was right for her. Absolutely, it sounds. So she's been around for a little bit in the spiritual world, and she teaches new thought kind of teachings around consciousness, and is very, very successful. So I'll leave that there with Esther, but I wanted to kind of give a quick little rundown in case you weren't familiar with who Esther Hicks is, or who Abraham is. So that's what that is. And so she's been talking about law of attraction for many, many years, almost 20 years now, and also uses a term sometimes called the vortex. She now is more often using the term grid, or the emotional grid. And this is what I had heard her talk about. So, what is the emotional grid? I'll let you know. I'm taking the information that I'm about to share with you, paraphrasing a little bit, from a website I found called reallifelawofattraction.com. I will remember to link it in the show notes so that you can take a read if you would like to. So, what I have is that the emotional grid filling is the emotional grid. So if you hear Esther talking about the emotional grid, it's used to describe the law of attraction and the vortex. It's just a new term that Abraham brought to her to use. And essentially, no, that's not right. Essentially, emotional grid is like to accumulate bits of your thoughts and emotions, and using those to manifest what you would like to have in your life, in your reality, through your experiences. So it's about kind of bringing your emotions and your thoughts to the forefront, having a lot of awareness about what those are, and then aligning those two things together consistently so that it becomes, an embodied kind of thing. Like, I'm sure we've all had experiences with the emotional grid, even if we didn't know what that was, where we are like, we have a goal or a dream, and it seems to just fall in our lap. We're like, I don't know where um this opportunity came from, but it like just dropped in my lap. Like, what a miracle, right? The miracle is actually that you've been able to become a vibrational match for that which is in your soul's path, for that which is something that you desire to have. That is the miracle, not the actual occurrence of what's happened. That's what I'm hearing from spirit in the moment. It's like the miracle is that you even figured that out. So give yourself a pat on the back for times, even before anything spiritual maybe, or this concept of emotional grid has entered your awareness, that there has been, at least a bodily, spiritual awareness inside that your body, your soul knew what emotional gridding of filling was, right? Your soul knew what that was, because your mind and your body, your thoughts aligned to bring an opportunity towards you, and you'll go, oh my God, what a coincidence. How random, what a miracle, right? So what I keep hearing from spirit is like, yes, but that's because you've done that work on some level, even if you were unaware of it. And how much more accelerated could that path be for us with awareness? I would think quite a bit. I don't know about you. And so this clip that I watched really enthralled me, as I said, because first of all, the person they had that asked the question and was speaking to Esther was like, had the best energy. It was this guy, and he just had the most joyful, playful kind of energy, and you could just feel from his energy that he was a really, really good soul, and like somebody that you would want to spend time with. In fact, I will make a note to find that video and link it, the YouTube link, so that you guys can watch it and know what I'm talking about here. But I just really resonated with him for sure. And I was like, this is part of the reason, or a big chunk of the reason why this is one of the most watched Esther Hicks clips, is because of that guy, because he was amazing. Essentially, he came to the mic and he asked Abraham, so Esther was channeling, asked Abraham about, why certain things weren't happening, or why am I feeling fearful or uncertain about certain things that I actually really want to happen. And I won't give you all the details, because actually it's quite funny, and it's very kind of entertaining, the exchanges that they have, and that comes to a realization, right? And so I'll leave that for you so you can listen to it, and I think it will touch you. But essentially, he was wanting things to happen, and Abraham was basically saying, you need to be you're trying to fill your own grid. You're trying to make something happen that you are not yet a vibrational match to. You're trying to fill your own grid. You can't fill your own grid. And then I was thinking to myself, how often have I tried to fill my own grid? And then I wonder, why isn't this happening to me? Like, I'm putting the work in. I'm doing this thing. I'm doing the work. I think I'm doing the work. But like, why is it not happening for me? And then what happens when we get into that headspace around things that we want to do or goals that we have? We often give up, right? We lose steam and we're like, not happening according to my timeline. Or maybe this means that it's not meant for me at all. And so this is why I feel compelled to share this information with you, because I feel like even having this kind of information to mull over and think about, roll around in your brain, will allow you to see times that you've let something go when it didn't mean that you had to let it go. It didn't mean that it wasn't for you or you couldn't do it. It meant that all along you were just meant to become more of a vibrational match. And then remind yourself as well of the times that you felt like something just dropped in your lap and you're like, whoa, what are the odds? What a miracle. Just you had your heart, your feelings, and your thoughts aligned. And so I think that's pretty powerful information to have and to experiment with. I don't know about you, but I also had a realization after watching this video that there were certain things in my life that I was resisting. So I will tell you about them in this moment. So for at least one full calendar year, maybe even more than that, but at least one calendar year, I have consistently, and I mean at least once a week, more often more than once a week, receive a message either by email, DM, on YouTube, what have you, from someone who says, do you offer mentorship? Do you teach people mediumship or intuitive development? Do you have a development circle? Do you offer, coaching containers, one-on-one coaching? And I mean, it's almost laughable at this point. Like I literally grin whenever this happens now, because I'm like, Spirit, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. I'm a generator in human design. If you're not familiar with that, what a generator is someone that is, our strategy is to respond, to learn to respond. So we have this motor where when we are doing what is aligned for us, the motor just seems to go, go, go. It feels like we have endless passion and energy for that thing that is aligned with us. But how often are we trying to force something to happen, or that we're kind of placed in a situation, an environment, a job, a relationship, etc., that's not aligned for us, and it feels like we are walking through quicksand? Raise your hand if that resonates, right? A lot of us generators are about, I feel like 30% of the population, maybe more. I can't remember the exact number, but it's a good chunk. It's the highest group, right? The other types of human design energy types have smaller percentages. So there's more generators in the world than any other kind. And so the reason this is connected is because we are magnets. We are, and everybody is, but like especially generators need to listen to this, because generators have to learn to wait to respond, which means when something is right for us or we are right for it, the universe will automatically will be magnetized to it. It will come to us. So I practice with this all the time. I will think about something, I'll mull it over my head. Sometimes I think about a certain offering, right? In fact, this came about years ago with my past life offerings. So past lives would come in sometimes in client readings unintentionally, and the clients were always like, whoa, like that's freaking amazing. And so I was mulling it over, and I was like, is this something I could do as a totally separate offering that would stand on its own? Would people be interested in that? And I just kind of put that thought out into the universe, along with kind of an excitement and curiosity about doing so. And I'm not joking with you, within 24 hours, somebody randomly, quote unquote, quote, messaged me and requested, do you ever do past life readings? Is that something that you'd ever do or can do? If not, can you direct me to somebody that would? And I went, okay, universe, I'm seeing it in action. I'm seeing how this works in action. And sometimes it takes longer than 24 hours, right? But when something is right for you, it will show up. So all it takes is awareness around that. Awareness of like, I'm thinking something, and then, oh, somebody in the elevator at work is talking about the very thing that I'm inquiring about, and knowing that's a way that the universe is responding to you to say, see, vibrational match. And so that really reminds me about grid filling a lot. And it also reminds me about manifestation. And if you guys have been with me for a long time, you'll know that I've come up with my own kind of formula of manifestation. I have talked about it before. I call it the 4 Ds of manifestation. And one of them that I feel so many people don't think about is daydreaming. And it's about imagining something happening. So if, say, you want a really soul aligned relationship, like romantic relationship, you're single and you're like, I really really want to find that person, not just anybody, because I'd rather be single than with somebody who's not aligned with me, but I really want that person, that soul aligned person. Daydream about that. How do you feel? Imagine that's happening. Imagine that person has already entered your life. How do you feel? Focus on the emotion and daydream about it. You know, we were told as kids not to daydream, but kids naturally daydream. And that's because that's an innate quality for us humans. That's a connection. It's like a tether to the spirit world, right? Our imagination is so connected to the spirit world. That's why most of us, me included, go many, many years and don't realize that we are, in fact, psychics or mediums until something very obvious hits us over the head, because it's so subtle. And we're like, oh, I just thought that was my imagination. No, that's the screen. That's the screen. That's like the big screen, right? And it's like the universe is projecting something onto the screen. This is where you're going to perceive it. It can't always show up in your physical reality. So imagine that thing happening for you. Already here, it already exists, it already happens. And spend some time thinking about it. And what happens if you do that consistently is that is a way that you are aligning your thoughts and your emotions as well, in a different kind of way. But your body does what your mind tells it to, for the most part, right? That's why there's such a huge body mind connection, and why there's more and more awareness of how our thoughts impact our health, etc. And your body doesn't know that that thing's not happening. So if you're dreaming about being in love and loved and cherished and supported and having a soulmate relationship, your body's like, oh, I'm loved, I'm cherished, I am recognized, I'm respected in a soulmate connection. Your body's going to respond to that. What's that going to do? That's going to raise your vibration. You're going to become more of a magnet to that thing. You're also going to eventually know in your heart of hearts that you deserve that you can have that. So these are really powerful visualizations and powerful information to just kind of think about a little bit. And they really remind me of this emotional grid connection. So I'm going to go back to this website, the real life law of attraction.com, and I'm going to read a little bit about it. So, according to this website, it says the necessary first step to manifesting anything into your reality is to conjure the emotion of it first. Literally just what I just said, but in a different way. The emotional grid is a way to comprehend and understand how that works and a more concrete process for doing it. So then they give a link where you can click on it, and there is some sort of printable tool where you can write things down that helps you build your grid. So that's why I want to include this website in the show notes so that you can have access to that if you want. So it says use the tool to build your emotional grid by filling in the blanks with words describing imagery and memories that have as much emotion as possible. Imagine something you desire in your life: an enriching love relationship, a fulfilling career, a nurturing home environment, vibrant health, an active social life, etc. But just pick one thing to start with and do a separate grid for each area of your life that you want to amplify and or manifest something new in. Many different grids will have overlapping emotions, and that is normal, but honor each separate life desire by giving it its own grid. I'm going to do this with you guys. So I'm going to print this off today and spend some time with it this weekend. Okay, start by imagining yourself having the experience you desire. This is why I'm telling you, it's very connected to what I kind of brought through with the 4Ds of manifestation. Thinking about what it will feel like after you manifest it. It's already happened. It's already here. I'm already living it. I'm already breathing it. I already am it. That's where I want you to go. And all the kinds of emotions you most enjoy while having that experience. And then briefly describe them in your little paper. And then you're going to identify the 6 most important, most desired positive emotions that you're looking forward to experiencing after you have that. And you're going to list those. And then in each emotion, you're going to describe 3 examples from any other part of your life. It might be a past memory, a situation that you have experienced that emotion. So you're going to connect a previous experience and positive emotion that you've already lived and experienced with this new thing that you want to bring in. You're going to connect those two through an emotion. The more you can write for each example, the more vividly you can describe feeling the emotions of the example, the better for you. Because simply by conjuring that emotion into your mind, you are simultaneously manifesting experiences to go along with it. This makes me feel excited as I'm talking. So it just says, write as much as you like. You're not limited. The more, the better. And as long as the window is open, you can continue to write in the form. There's no timeout feature. So you can continue to add to it. If you have an aha moment, something else comes forward in a few days or next week or next year. So it just says complete it and print it out. And then I see build your own emotional grid tool, and it's got that there. And I think there's an ability. Oh, I love it. Okay, so I was like, why is this like this? There's a place to print one off, but then at the bottom of the website it says build your own emotional grid tool, and you put your name, email address, your grid desire, and you fill in all of the things that we talked about. And I was thinking, who are you sending this to? Like, why would we fill this out with our email and stuff? And then at the bottom it says sent to the universe. So I really love that. It reminds me of years ago, and I don't know if this website still exists, but there was a website that was called, I think it was called Future Me. And I used to go in there every so often and type in like little love notes or like little letters to my future self. And actually, in the last, I think it was about a year and a half ago, I think it was the end of 2022. Yeah, so that makes sense. I actually received one in my email that I had totally forgotten I wrote about or that I had done, and it was from 2012. And it was just like, hey, like, you've done so well. We've done this, we've done this, we've done this. Well done. Congratulations. And it was just like talking about how proud we were of like Amy in 2022. And it was so heartwarming because I had forgotten all about it. So if that website still exists, go do that for yourself too, because it's like a love letter to your future self. And I do think that's probably an aspect of grid filling as well, right? So essentially all this to say that we can create reality and bring the things that we want most into our lives through aligning our thoughts and our emotions. So if we really, really, really think, say like, say for instance, I'm trying to think of an example of like when the heart and the thoughts, like feelings and thoughts aren't aligned. It could be like, okay, I'm just going to give you an example. I'll give you a personal one. This is me. Okay. I'm going to be vulnerable as I always am, always transparent with you guys, always learning along with you guys. Um, my, and it goes along with this case of the teaching and the mentorship. It's hand in hand with that. My heart knows that I can do that. My heart is aligned with that opportunity. My heart knows that that feels good, and my heart knows that I'm up for the responsibility of that, and that feels like something that I want and I desire. But sometimes my thoughts, although in this moment I'm being reminded, hey, your grid's already full around this, so your thoughts are already aligned. But in the past, like I've known this for years, my heart's aligned with this opportunity, but my thoughts haven't been. They've gone to, who are you? Who's going to give a crap about you? Why do you think you're so interesting or educated or such an expert that anybody would want to listen to what you have to say? And these are the thoughts. And these thoughts totally kind of dismiss the knowing, the wisdom, the heart, the emotions that knows I can. So it's kind of like this game of tug of war, right? It's like back and forth, and they this is limbo, right? The thing can't happen because it's like, well, which one is it? Like you're going back and forth. I'm not going to bring anything in for you right now. You can't even handle it. You're not ready. But through the years and through time, my thought process is much more, I know I'm a good teacher. I know I'm thoughtful. I know that I'm intentional. I know that I know what the foundations of mediumship are. I know that I can help people with that. I know that people want that. So there's been a shift in my mindset around that, and all that's left is to take action with it. And that's why people keep asking me, because the grid is full. The thoughts and the emotions are now aligned. And that feels good. So I am going to print off that little tool for myself. I'm going to work on that alongside with you, and I will keep you up to date as time goes by, and we'll do like little check-in. How's your grid going? Um, yeah, I think that will be really fun. I'm going to right now, I think what my main focus is going to be is around moving, because my heart wants to go, but my brain is like, you're never going to find something you like as much as where you are. You're going to go there and blah, 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 blah. This isn't going to work out, or this is going to be different, or this is uncertain, or blah, 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 blah. And that's where my mind's going. And I think that is why for the last year, because we were supposed to move last summer, I'm in limbo, right? And now it's like, it's action time. And now we're still in kind of waiting mode, right? Because we can't find what we want on the other end. We're like, I actually can't find a house I want to buy. Never thought I'd be in that position. For years, I would scour real estate. For 10 years, I would scour real estate back home in Nova Scotia. And I would daydream like, there's my dream house. Oh my God, that's totally affordable. We could totally do that. Oh my God. And I couldn't do it because of situations, because of my husband's job. And it's like, now it's time, because the opportunity has presented itself that he can now move wherever he'd like, because he's retired from the military. And it's like, why isn't the home then showing up for us? Well, the grid's not full. I gotta get my thoughts in check, and then and then the host will appear. And I know this logistically. I just really have to feel it. I have to know it in my body, in my heart of hearts. I think that's going to tip the scales. So stay tuned for all of that information as well. And I hope you have the best week. I'll see you back here next week. Take good care and get to fill in those grits. Bye, guys. If you have enjoyed this episode, please consider hopping on over to wherever you listen to your podcast and giving it a 5-star review. Thank you so much in advance. If you'd like to keep in touch, please head over to my website, theintuitiverising.com, to keep up with all the things that I have been doing. I also have a private Facebook community for people just like you. It's called the Intuitive Rising Community. All you got to do is request to join, and I will let you in. Keep rising.